Jake Martinez pushed his cleaning cart down the long hallway of the spaceship New Horizon. The wheels made a soft, squeaking sound on the metal floor. He had been working on this ship for 2 years now, cleaning every day from 6 in the morning until 6 at night. The work was hard, but Jake never complained. He needed this job. The New Horizon was the biggest spaceship humans had ever built. It traveled between planets carrying scientists and important people to study new worlds. Jake felt lucky to work here, even if he was just a cleaner. Every day he could look out the windows and see stars and planets that most people on Earth would never see. Today was different. A famous actor from Earth was visiting the ship. His name was Keanu Reeves, and Jake had seen him in many movies. The ship's captain had told everyone to stay away from the famous visitor. "Do your jobs and don't bother our guest," Captain Linda Foster had said during the morning meeting. She was a strict woman who always wore a perfect uniform and never smiled. Jake wiped down the walls in the main corridor. His uniform was old and had small holes in it, but it was clean. He always made sure his clothes were clean, even if they were not fancy. His mother had taught him that being poor was not an excuse for being dirty. As Jake worked, he heard footsteps. He looked up and saw Keanu Reeves walking toward him. The actor was taller than Jake had expected. He wore simple clothes and had a kind face. Jake had always heard that Keanu Reeves was a nice person, not like some other famous people who acted mean to regular workers. Jake moved his cart to the side to let Keanu Reeves pass. He kept his head down and continued cleaning. He did not want to get in trouble with Captain Foster, but Keanu Reeves stopped walking. "Hello," he said to Jake with a warm smile. Jake looked up, surprised. "Oh, hello, sir. Sorry if I'm in your way." "You're not in my way at all," Keanu said. "You're doing important work. Thank you for keeping this place clean." Jake felt his face get warm. Nobody had ever thanked him for his cleaning work before. Most people acted like he was invisible. "Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you to say." They talked for a few minutes. Keanu asked Jake about his work and how long he had been on the ship. Jake was surprised by how easy it was to talk to the famous actor. Keanu listened carefully and asked real questions, like he actually cared about Jake's answers. Jake's shift was ending soon. He had been thinking all day about whether he should ask Keanu Reeves for his autograph. His little sister back on Earth loved the actor's movies. She was sick and stayed in bed most of the time. An autograph would make her very happy. Jake looked around to make sure Captain Foster was not nearby. Then he took a deep breath. "Mr. Reeves, I'm sorry to ask, but would you sign something for my sister? She really likes your movies and she's been sick for a long time." Keanu's face lit up. "Of course, I'd be happy to." "What's your sister's name?" "Her name is Maria," Jake said. He pulled out a small piece of paper from his pocket. Keanu took the paper and wrote a nice message to Maria. He signed his name and handed it back to Jake. "I hope she feels better soon," he said. "Thank you so much, Mr. Reeves. This will make her so happy," Jake said. He carefully put the paper in his pocket. Just then, Captain Foster appeared around the corner. She walked quickly toward them with an angry look on her face. Jake's heart started beating fast. He knew he was in trouble. "Martinez!" Captain Foster shouted. "What do you think you're doing?" Jake stood up straight. "I was just finishing my work, Captain." "Don't lie to me. I saw you bothering our guest." She turned to Keanu Reeves. "Mr. Reeves, I am so sorry. This worker has broken our rules. He will be punished." Keanu looked confused. "He wasn't bothering me at all. We were just having a nice conversation." Captain Foster ignored him. She pointed at Jake. "You were told not to bother our guests. You asked for an autograph, didn't you?" Jake nodded. "Yes, Captain, but it was after my shift ended and—" "I don't want to hear excuses," Captain Foster interrupted. "This is unprofessional behavior. You're fired." Jake felt like someone had hit him in the stomach. "Fired? But Captain, I need this job. I have a family to support." "You should have thought about that before you broke the rules," Captain Foster said coldly. Keanu stepped forward. "Wait a minute. This man was very polite and respectful. I don't see any problem with what he did. Captain Foster turned to face the actor. Mr. Reeves, I understand you want to be kind, but we have rules on this ship. If we let workers bother our important guests, where will it end? We must maintain proper discipline. But he wasn't bothering me, Keanu said again. He was just being friendly. The decision is made, Captain Foster said. She called 2 security guards over. Escort Mr. Martinez to his room. He has 1 hour to pack his things. Then put him on the next transport back to Earth. The security guards walked toward Jake. One of them put a hand on Jake's shoulder. Come on, let's go, he said quietly. Jake could tell the guard felt bad about this. Jake looked at Keanu Reeves. The actor looked shocked and upset. I'm sorry this happened, Keanu said. This isn't right. It's okay, Mr. Reeves, Jake said, even though it wasn't okay at all. Thank you for the autograph. At least Maria will be happy. As the guards led Jake away, he heard Keanu Reeves arguing with Captain Foster. But Jake knew it would not help. Captain Foster had made up her mind. Jake's dreams of working in space were over because he had asked for a simple autograph. In his small room, Jake packed his few belongings into a bag. He looked at the autograph Keanu had given him. At least something good had come from this terrible day. Maria would smile when she saw it, and that made Jake feel a little better. But as he folded his clothes, Jake wondered how he would tell his family that he had lost his job. How would he pay for Maria's medicine? How would he help his parents with their bills? The autograph was nice, but it would not solve his family's problems. Jake sat on his bed and held his head in his hands. Tomorrow he would be on a ship going back to Earth, back to unemployment and worry. All because he had tried to do something nice for his sick sister. Keanu Reeves could not sleep that night. He kept thinking about Jake Martinez and what had happened. The young man had been so polite and kind. All he wanted was to make his sick sister happy. But Captain Foster had fired him like he was a criminal. Keanu walked around his guest room on the ship. It was much bigger and nicer than Jake's room. The walls were painted white and there were soft chairs and a big bed. Jake probably slept on a small bed with thin blankets. This did not seem fair to Keanu. The next morning, Keanu went to find Captain Foster. She was in her office, sitting behind a big desk covered with papers and computer screens. Captain Foster, Keanu said as he knocked on her open door. I want to talk about Jake Martinez. Captain Foster looked up from her work. Mr. Reeves, that matter is closed. The man broke our rules and faced the consequences. What rules exactly? Keanu asked. He was polite to me. He waited until after his work was done. He didn't interrupt anything important. Captain Foster stood up from her chair. Mr. Reeves, you are our honored guest. But you don't understand how we run this ship. We must have discipline. If workers think they can bother famous visitors whenever they want, chaos will follow. Keanu shook his head. One man asking politely for an autograph is not chaos. The decision is final, Captain Foster said. She sat back down and looked at her computer screen. Mr. Martinez will leave on tomorrow's transport. Keanu left the office feeling frustrated. He decided to learn more about Jake Martinez. If Captain Foster would not listen to reason, maybe he could find another way to help. Keanu used his famous name to get access to the ship's records. He told the computer operator that he was thinking about making a movie about life on spaceships. The operator was excited to help a famous actor and showed Keanu how to look up information about the crew. What Keanu found surprised him. Jake Martinez was not just a simple cleaner. He had been a soldier before working on the ship. The record showed that Jake had fought in something called the Titan Wars. Keanu had heard about these wars on the news. They were dangerous battles on one of Saturn's moons where human soldiers fought against enemy forces. Jake had won 3 medals for being brave in battle. One medal was for saving other soldiers when their base was attacked. Another was for volunteering for dangerous missions. The third was for helping wounded soldiers even when he was hurt himself. After the war ended, Jake had come to work on the New Horizon. But he was not just cleaning floors. The records showed that Jake was taking classes at night to become an engineer. He was studying math and science and getting very good grades. He worked 12 hours a day cleaning, then studied. For 4 more hours every night, Keanu found more information about Jake's family. His sister Maria was very sick with a disease that made her muscles weak. She needed expensive medicine to stay alive. Jake sent most of his money home to pay for her treatment. He also helped his parents, who were old and could not work anymore. The more Keanu read, the more angry he became. Jake Martinez was a hero who had risked his life for other people. He was working hard to build a better future while taking care of his family. And Captain Foster had thrown him off the ship for being friendly. Keanu printed out copies of Jake's records. He wanted to show them to Captain Foster. Maybe when she saw what kind of man Jake really was, she would change her mind. But when Keanu went back to the captain's office, she was not there. A young officer told him that Captain Foster was in an important meeting in the command center. Keanu walked through the ship toward the command center. As he walked, he noticed other crew members talking in worried voices. Something was happening in the command center. Keanu saw Captain Foster and several other officers looking at big screens. The screens showed space outside the ship, but something was different. There were strange lights in the distance. "What's going on?" Keanu asked one of the officers. The officer looked nervous. "We're picking up unusual energy readings. Our sensors show large objects moving toward us." Captain Foster noticed Keanu. "Mr. Reeves, you shouldn't be here. This is a restricted area." "Are we in danger?" Keanu asked. Before Captain Foster could answer, a young woman at one of the computer stations spoke up. "Captain, the objects are getting closer. They're huge, much bigger than our ship." Everyone in the room became quiet. On the main screen, they could see dark shapes moving between the stars. The shapes were blocking out the light from distant suns. "Are they other human ships?" someone asked. The woman at the computer shook her head. "No, sir. The design is completely unknown." "These are not human ships." Captain Foster's face went white. "Are you saying these are alien ships?" "Yes, ma'am. And they're trying to communicate with us." The room filled with the sound of computers beeping and people talking quickly. Keanu had never seen anything like this. Humans had always wondered if there was other life in space, but they had never found any. Now it seemed like other life had found them. "What are they saying?" Captain Foster asked. The communication officer put on headphones and listened carefully. Then she looked up with a confused expression. "Ma'am, this is very strange. They're asking to speak with someone specific." "Who? Me?" Captain Foster asked. "No, ma'am. They're asking for someone called the human who shows respect without seeking gain." "I don't understand what that means." Keanu felt a strange feeling in his stomach. He thought about Jake Martinez and how polite and respectful he had been. Jake had not asked for anything except a simple autograph for his sister. He had shown respect without wanting anything for himself. Captain Foster was giving orders to her officers. "Prepare our weapons. Send a message back asking what they want." But Keanu was thinking about something else. What if these aliens had been watching them? What if they had seen what happened? With Jake, the timing seemed too strange to be just luck. "Captain Foster," Keanu said. "I think we need to get Jake Martinez." Captain Foster turned around quickly. "What? Why would we need a cleaner at a time like this?" "Because," Keanu said, holding up the papers with Jake's records. "I don't think he's just a cleaner, and I think these aliens might be looking for him." Jake Martinez sat on his small bed, holding the few things he owned. In a few hours, he would be on a transport ship going back to Earth. He felt sad and worried. How would he tell his family that he lost his job? How would he pay for Maria's medicine? There was a loud knock on his door. Jake opened it and saw 2 security guards standing there. Behind them was Keanu Reeves. "Jake," one of the guards said, "you need to come with us right now." Jake was confused. "But I thought I was leaving on the transport ship." "Change of plans," the guard said. He looked nervous and excited at the same time. Keanu stepped forward. "Jake, something incredible is happening. We need your help." Jake followed them through the hallways of the ship. Other crew members were running around, talking in fast, worried voices. Jake had never seen everyone so excited and scared at the same time. They reached the command center, the most important room on the ship. Jake had never been allowed in there before. It was full of computers and big screens showing space outside the ship. Captain Foster was standing in the middle of the room, giving orders to her officers. When she saw Jake, her face became angry. "Why is he here?" she demanded. This man was fired. He should be in his room waiting for transport. Keanu stepped between Jake and Captain Foster. "Because the aliens asked for him." "What?" Jake said. "What aliens?" An officer pointed at the main screen. Jake looked up and could not believe what he saw. Huge ships floated in space around the New Horizon. The ships were silver and shaped like teardrops, much bigger than any human ship. They were beautiful and frightening at the same time. "Those are alien spaceships," the officer explained. "They came out of nowhere an hour ago. They want to talk to someone, but they won't say who they are or what they want." The communication officer spoke up. "Sir, they're sending another message." A voice filled the room. It sounded strange, like many people talking at the same time, but Jake could understand the words clearly. "We seek the human who shows respect without seeking gain. We have observed your species. Most of you treat others badly when you have power over them. But one among you is different. Bring us this human, and we will speak with you." Everyone in the room looked at each other. Captain Foster stepped forward. "This is Captain Linda Foster of the human ship New Horizon. I am the leader here. I will speak for my people." The alien voice came again. "You are not the one we seek. You have shown cruelty to those beneath you. We will not speak with you." "Captain." Foster's face became red with anger. "How dare you? I am the captain of this ship." "We have been watching," the voice said. "We saw you punish a good man for showing kindness. You care only about rules and power. You are not worthy to speak for humans." Jake felt his heart beating fast. Were they talking about him? How could aliens know what happened with the autograph? Keanu put his hand on Jake's shoulder. "Jake, I think they want to talk to you." "Me?" Jake said. "But I'm nobody important. I'm just a cleaner." "You asked me for an autograph for your sick sister," Keanu said. "You were polite and respectful. You didn't ask for anything for yourself. Maybe that's what they mean." Captain Foster shook her head. "This is ridiculous. We can't let a low-level worker represent humanity to an alien species. What if he says something wrong? What if he causes a war?" The alien voice spoke again. "We will wait one more minute. If the human who shows respect without seeking gain does not speak to us, we will leave and never return. Your species will remain alone in the universe." Jake looked around the room. Everyone was staring at him. Some people looked hopeful. Others looked scared. Captain Foster looked angry. Jake thought about his sister Maria, lying sick in her bed back on Earth. He thought about his parents who were old and tired. He thought about all the people on the ship who might be in danger if he made a mistake. But he also thought about what his mother had taught him. She always said that being a good person was more important than being important. Maybe that was what the aliens saw in him. Jake walked to the communication station. His hands were shaking. "Hello," he said into the microphone. "This is Jake Martinez. I think you want to talk to me." The alien voice became warmer, more friendly. "Yes, Jake Martinez. We have been watching you. We saw you treat the famous human with respect, even though you had nothing to gain from it. We saw you accept punishment without anger, even though it was unfair. You are different from most of your species." "I don't understand," Jake said. "How were you watching me? How do you know about what happened?" "We have been studying your species for many years," the alien voice explained. "We have technology that lets us see and hear what happens on your ships and planets. We have been waiting to find humans who show true kindness and respect to others." Jake felt strange knowing that aliens had been watching him clean floors and talk to people. "Why were you looking for someone like me?" "Because we represent something called the Galactic Federation. It is a group of many different species from many different worlds. We work together to explore space and share knowledge. But we only invite species that show they can treat others with respect and kindness. The room became very quiet. Everyone was listening carefully. Most species fail our test, the alien continued. They are cruel to those who have less power. They care only about themselves. But you, Jake Martinez, showed us that some humans are different. You showed respect to a famous person without asking for anything important. You accepted unfair punishment without becoming angry or seeking revenge. Captain Foster stepped forward. Now wait just a minute. One person cannot represent all of humanity. I am the captain here, and I demand to speak with your leaders. You have already shown us who you are, the alien voice said coldly. You punished goodness and rewarded cruelty. We will not speak with you. Jake looked around the room again. He saw fear in people's eyes. If he said the wrong thing, these aliens might leave forever. Humans might never get another chance to join other species among the stars. What do you want me to do? Jake asked. We want you to come aboard our ship, the alien voice said. We want to learn more about human nature from someone who represents the best of your species. If you prove that humans can truly show respect and kindness, we will invite your species to join the Galactic Federation. Jake's mouth fell open. They wanted him to leave the ship and go with aliens. He thought about his family back on Earth. He thought about Maria, who needed him to work and send money for her medicine. But he also thought about all of humanity. If he could help humans join this Galactic Federation, maybe they could learn things that would help sick people like Maria. Maybe they could make life better for everyone. Will I be able to come back? Jake asked. That depends on what we learn about your species, the alien voice said. Are you willing to represent humanity, Jake Martinez? Jake took a deep breath. His whole body was shaking, but he knew what he had to do. Yes, he said into the microphone. I will come with you. A bright light filled the command center. Everyone covered their eyes. When the light faded, Jake was gone. Jake found himself standing in a room unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls seemed to be made of flowing water, but when he touched them, they felt solid. Soft music played from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. The air smelled like flowers after rain. 3 tall beings stood in front of him. They looked almost human, but their skin had a blue glow, and their eyes were much larger than human eyes. They wore long robes that seemed to move like liquid silver. Welcome, Jake Martinez, one of them said. The voice was the same one he had heard on the ship, but now it sounded gentler. I am called Zara. These are my companions, Keth and Nira. We are representatives of the Galactic Federation. Jake looked around the room. Through a large window, he could see his ship, the New Horizon, looking very small next to the alien vessels. This is incredible, he said. I never imagined anything like this was possible. Zara nodded. Your species is still young, Jake Martinez. You have only just begun to travel between the stars. But we have been watching you for many years. Why? Jake asked. What makes humans so interesting to you? Nira stepped forward. She was smaller than the others, and her voice sounded kind. Every species in the galaxy faces the same test. When they gain power over others, do they use it to help or to hurt? Do they show kindness to those who cannot give them anything in return? Keth, who was the tallest, spoke in a deeper voice. Most species fail this test. They become cruel when they have power. They forget that all beings deserve respect, no matter how different they are or how little they have. Jake thought about Captain Foster and how she had treated him. But some humans are like that too. Captain Foster fired me just for being friendly. Yes, Zara said. We saw what happened. That is why we were ready to leave without making contact. Captain Foster showed us the worst of humanity. She had power over you and she used it to be cruel. But then we saw something different, Nira added. We saw you accept her punishment without anger. We saw you worry about your sister instead of yourself. We saw you show respect to the famous human even though you gained nothing from it. Jake felt embarrassed. I was just being polite. That's how my mother raised me. That is exactly why you are special, Keth said. Politeness and respect should not be rare things. but in most species they are. Most beings are only kind when they want something in return. Zara moved to the large window and looked out at the stars. The Galactic Federation has thousands of different species. We share knowledge, technology, and resources. We help each other explore new worlds and solve problems. But we only invite species that prove they can treat others with kindness. What kind of test do you give? Jake asked. We watch how they treat those who have less power, Nira explained.
How do the rich treat the poor? How do the famous treat the unknown? How do the leaders treat the workers? These small interactions tell us everything we need to know about a species. Jake walked to the window and looked at his ship. You've been watching other humans too? Keth nodded sadly.
Yes. We have observed your cities, your workplaces, your schools. We have seen too much cruelty. We have seen people with power hurt those without it. We have seen the strong ignore the weak. But we have also seen goodness, Zara said quickly. We have seen teachers who care for difficult students. We have seen doctors who help poor people for free. We have seen ordinary people do extraordinary acts of kindness. The problem, Nira continued, is that the cruel ones usually have more power. They become the leaders, the captains, the decision-makers. Like your Captain Foster. Jake felt sad, thinking about all the mean people he had met in his life. But he also thought about the good people, like his mother, his sister, and even Keanu Reeves, who had tried to help him. So what happens now? Jake asked. Zara turned from the window to face him. Now we learn more about you, Jake Martinez. We want to understand what makes humans like you different from humans like Captain Foster. If we find that there are enough good humans, we will invite your species to join the Federation. What would that mean for humans? Jake asked. Everything would change, Keth said. We would share our knowledge of medicine, engineering, and science. Diseases that kill humans could be cured. You could travel to distant planets in days instead of years. You could live longer, healthier lives. Jake thought about his sister Maria. Could you cure my sister's illness? Nira smiled kindly. Yes, Jake Martinez. The disease your sister has is easily cured with Federation medicine. No human would need to suffer from it ever again. Jake felt tears in his eyes. All this time, Maria had been sick and in pain, and somewhere in the galaxy there was medicine that could make her well. But first, Zara said, we need to know if humanity is ready. Too many species get advanced technology and use it to hurt others. We cannot risk giving dangerous knowledge to a cruel species. How do I prove that humans are good? Jake asked. You don't prove it alone, Keth said. You help us understand your species. You show us how humans think and feel. You help us see the difference between humans who are kind and humans who are cruel. Nira moved closer to Jake. We also want to meet the famous human who tried to help you. This Keanu Reeves showed kindness when he had nothing to gain. We are curious about him. Jake smiled for the first time since leaving his ship. Keanu is a good person. He really tried to stop Captain Foster from firing me. Yes, we saw, Zara said. It is interesting that your species produces both types of people. Captain Foster, who uses power to hurt others, and Keanu Reeves, who uses fame to help others. What we need to learn, Keth continued, is which type of human is more common. Are there more Jake Martinez's and Keanu Reeves's, or are there more Captain Fosters? Jake thought about this question. He had met many different kinds of people in his life. Some were mean, like Captain Foster. Some were kind, like Keanu Reeves. Most were somewhere in between. I think most humans try to be good, Jake said finally. But sometimes they get scared or angry and do bad things. And sometimes, the bad people get more power than the good people. Zara nodded. That is honest. And honesty is another thing we value in the Federation. A soft sound filled the room like a bell ringing far away. It is time, Nira said. We must return you to your ship and begin the next part of our evaluation. But first, Jake Martinez, we want to ask you something important. What? Jake asked. Would you be willing to serve as a bridge between your species and ours? Would you help us understand humanity while we decide whether to invite them into the Federation? Jake looked out at his ship again. He thought about Captain Foster, who probably still thought she should be the one talking to the aliens. He thought about all the people back on Earth who had no idea that this conversation was happening. "What would I have to do?" he asked. "Travel with us," Zara said. "Visit other worlds, meet other species, learn about the Federation, and help us learn about the best parts of humanity." Jake realized that his life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. Yesterday he was a cleaner worried about losing his job. Today he was being asked to represent all of humanity to alien civilizations. "Will I ever see my family again?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Nira said softly. "And if humanity joins the Federation, they will live longer and healthier lives than you ever thought possible." The bright light filled the room again, and suddenly Jake was back on the New Horizon. He stood in the command center feeling dizzy and confused. Everyone was staring at him with wide eyes. "Jake!" Keanu Reeves rushed over to him. "Are you okay? You were gone for 3 hours." Jake looked around the room. It felt strange to be back on the human ship after seeing the beautiful alien vessel. 3 hours? It only felt like a few minutes. Captain Foster pushed through the crowd of people. Her face was red with anger. "What did they want? What did you tell them?" Before Jake could answer, the alien voice filled the room again. "People of the New Horizon, we have spoken with Jake Martinez. He has shown us much about your species, but we need to learn more." Captain Foster stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. I am the captain of this ship. I should be the one making decisions for humanity, not some cleaner." "You have already shown us who you are," the alien voice said coldly. "You care only about power and control. You are not fit to speak for your species." Jake saw Captain Foster's face become even redder. He felt sorry for her, even though she had been mean to him. He knew it must be hard for her to have aliens reject her leadership. "What do you want from us?" Jake asked. "We want to offer Jake Martinez a choice," the alien voice said. "He can come with us to learn about the Galactic Federation. He will visit other worlds and meet other species. He will serve as humanity's representative while we decide if your people are ready to join us." The room became very quiet. Jake felt everyone looking at him again. "But," the alien voice continued, "this choice comes with a cost. Jake Martinez will have to leave his life behind. He will travel far from Earth for many years. He may not see his family for a long time." Jake's heart sank. He thought about his sister Maria, lying sick in her bed. He thought about his parents, who needed his help to pay their bills. How could he leave them when they needed him most? "I can't," Jake said quietly. "My family needs me. My sister is sick and needs expensive medicine. My parents are old and can't work. If I leave, who will take care of them?" Keanu Reeves stepped forward. "Jake, wait. Let me ask you something. If you go with them and humanity joins this federation, could that help your sister?" Jake nodded. "They said they have medicine that could cure her disease. But she needs help now, not years from now." Keanu was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he turned to face the room. "What if I made sure Jake's family was taken care of while he's gone?" Everyone looked surprised. Captain Foster shook her head. "Mr. Reeves, you can't just promise to support some stranger's family." "I'm not a stranger," Keanu said firmly. "I'm someone who believes in doing the right thing. Jake, I have more money than I could ever spend. I can make sure your sister gets the best medical care available. I can make sure your parents never have to worry about money again." Jake stared at Keanu. "Why would you do that for me? You barely know me." "Because you're a good person," Keanu said. "You asked for an autograph to make your sick sister happy. You accepted unfair punishment without becoming angry. You're exactly the kind of person who should represent humanity. To these aliens," Captain Foster stepped between them. "This is insane. We can't let our first contact with an alien species depend on a janitor and a movie star." "Why not?" Keanu asked. "What makes you think you'd do better? You've already shown them how cruel you can be." "I was maintaining discipline," Captain Foster shouted. "Someone has to follow the rules." Some rules are wrong, Jake said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. My mother always taught me that being kind is more important than following bad rules. The alien voice spoke again. We have been listening to this conversation. It shows us much about human nature. Some of you, like Captain Foster, care more about power than kindness. Others, like Jake Martinez and Keanu Reeves, care more about helping others. Captain Foster's face went white. You've been listening to us this whole time? Yes. We wanted to see how humans act when they think they are alone. Jake Martinez, we have a new offer for you. Jake waited to hear what they would say. We invite both you and Keanu Reeves to come with us. Two humans working together might teach us more about your species than one alone. Keanu Reeves has shown that some humans use their fame and wealth to help others. You have shown that some humans remain kind even when they have nothing. Keanu looked surprised. Me? But I'm just an actor. You are a human who chose to help Jake Martinez when you gained nothing from it, the alien voice explained. You offered to care for his family so he can serve his species. This shows us something important about human nature. Jake looked at Keanu. Would you really come with me? Keanu smiled. If it means helping humanity join a galactic community, then yes. And if it means we can bring back medicine to cure your sister and help millions of other people, then absolutely. Captain Foster was becoming desperate. Wait, you can't just leave with them. What if they're lying? What if they're dangerous? Someone needs to think about the safety of humanity. We understand your fear, the alien voice said. But Jake Martinez and Keanu Reeves will not be prisoners. They will be guests and students. If they choose to return home at any time, we will bring them back. Jake thought about everything that had happened. Yesterday he was worried about losing his job. Now he had a chance to help all of humanity. But he was scared. He had never traveled farther from Earth than the space stations around Mars. What would we do with you? Jake asked. Learn, the alien voice said. You would visit worlds where different species live together in peace. You would see how the Federation solves problems and shares knowledge. You would meet beings who have learned to treat all life with respect. And what would you learn from us? Keanu asked. We would learn if humans can truly change. We would see if you can move beyond cruelty and selfishness. We would discover if your species is ready to join something greater than itself. Jake looked around the command center one more time. He saw Captain Foster, who still looked angry and confused. He saw the other crew members, who looked hopeful and scared at the same time. He thought about all the people on Earth who didn't even know this conversation was happening. If we go with you, Jake said, and humanity passes your test, what happens then? Then everything changes, the alien voice said. Humans will have access to Federation knowledge and technology. Diseases will be cured. Poverty will end. Your people will explore wonders beyond your imagination. Jake thought about his sister Maria. He thought about all the sick people in hospitals on Earth. He thought about all the poor families struggling to survive. If he could help make their lives better, didn't he have to try? Jake, Keanu said quietly, I think we have to do this. Jake nodded slowly. I think you're right. Captain Foster made one last attempt to stop them. I forbid this. As captain of this ship, I order you not to leave with these aliens. Jake looked at her sadly. Captain Foster, you can't stop us. And even if you could, you shouldn't. This is bigger than any of us. The alien voice spoke one final time. Jake Martinez and Keanu Reeves, are you ready to begin your journey? Jake took a deep breath and looked at Keanu. The actor nodded encouragingly. Yes, Jake said. We're ready. The bright light filled the command center one last time. When it faded, Jake and Keanu were gone. Captain Foster stood in the empty space where they had been, her mouth open in shock. The other crew members looked at each other in amazement. They had just witnessed the most important moment in human history, and it had started with a simple request for an autograph. Jake and Keanu found themselves back on the alien ship, standing in the beautiful room with flowing walls. The three, aliens Zara, Keth, and Nira, were waiting for them. Welcome aboard the Harmony, Zara said. This ship will be your home while you learn about the Federation. Jake looked around in wonder. Everything seemed to glow with soft light. How long will we be gone? That depends on how quickly humans learn, Nira said kindly. Some species take years to prove they are ready. Others never succeed at all. Keanu stepped forward. Before we start, I need to make sure Jake's family is taken care of. Can you help me send a message to Earth? Keth nodded. Of course. We can communicate across space instantly. Within minutes, Keanu had arranged for his lawyers and accountants to take care of Jake's family. Money would be sent for Maria's medicine and his parents' needs. The best doctors on Earth would treat his sister's illness while they waited for Federation medicine. Thank you, Jake said to Keanu. I could never have done this without your help. We're partners now, Keanu replied with a smile. We're in this together. Over the next few weeks, Jake and Keanu traveled to amazing worlds. They visited a planet where crystal beings lived in harmony with plant creatures. They saw a world where ocean dwellers and sky flyers worked together to build floating cities. On every world, different species lived in peace and helped each other. How do they do it? Jake asked Zara, as they watched bird-like creatures helping fish-like beings repair their underwater homes. They learned that differences make them stronger, not weaker, Zara explained. When species work together, they can solve problems that no single species could handle alone. Jake thought about Earth, where humans often fought with each other over small differences. Humans fight about skin color and where they were born. How can we learn to get along with completely different species? By starting with respect, Nira said. The same respect you showed Keanu Reeves when you asked for his autograph. The same respect he showed you when he tried to help. On another world, Jake and Keanu met the Federation Council, where representatives from hundreds of species worked together to make decisions. The council chamber was enormous, with sections for beings who breathed different gases and lived in different environments. This is incredible, Keanu whispered to Jake. Look how they've made space for everyone. A tall, tree-like being approached them. You are the humans we have heard about. I am Elder Root from the planet Verdania. We are very interested in your species. Why? Jake asked. Elder Root's leaves rustled in what seemed like laughter. Because you are the first species in 50 years to send both a worker and a celebrity as representatives. Usually, species send only their leaders or their most important people. Jake is important, Keanu said quickly. Yes, Elder Root agreed, but not in the way most species think of importance. He is important because of who he is, not what he owns or controls. This is very rare. Over the months, Jake and Keanu learned about Federation science and medicine. They saw technologies that could cure any disease, machines that could clean polluted air and water, and ships that could travel between stars in days. Think about what this could mean for Earth, Keanu said as they watched a machine turn desert into fertile farmland. No more hunger, no more disease, no more pollution. Jake nodded, but he was worried. Do you think humans are ready for all this? What if we use it to hurt people instead of help them? It was a good question. During their travels, they had met species that had failed the Federation test. These species had gotten advanced technology and used it to become more cruel, not more kind. They had been banned from the Federation forever. One day, Zara brought Jake and Keanu troubling news. We have been monitoring Earth while you were with us. We are seeing both good and bad things. She showed them images on a screen. In one part, humans were helping each other after a natural disaster. In another part, humans were fighting over resources. Your species is at a crossroads, Keth explained. Some humans are learning to be more kind and cooperative. Others are becoming more selfish and cruel. What decides which way we go? Jake asked. Leaders, Nira said simply. The people your species chooses to follow will determine your future. Jake thought about Captain Foster, who cared more about rules than people. He thought about politicians on Earth who seemed to care more about power than helping people. What if the wrong people are in charge? He asked. Then good people must step forward, Zara said, looking directly at Jake. People like you and Keanu Reeves must show others a better way. After 6 months of traveling and learning, the aliens announced that it was time for the final test. Jake and Keanu would return to Earth, but not alone. A small group of Federation representatives would come with them. Your job, Zara explained, is to show these representatives the best of humanity. Take them to places where humans help each other. Introduce them to people who choose kindness over cruelty. What if they see the bad parts of humanity too? Keanu asked. They will, Keth said honestly. No species is perfect, but if they see that the good humans outnumber the bad ones, and that the good humans are working to make things better, then humanity will pass the test. Jake felt nervous and excited at the same time. Everything his species had ever dreamed of depended on the next few weeks. When they returned to Earth, Jake's first stop was the hospital where his sister Maria was being treated. The medicine Keanu had provided was working. Maria was sitting up in bed, smiling and laughing for the first time in years. "Jake," she cried when she saw him. "You look different. You look like you've seen incredible things." Jake hugged his sister, feeling tears in his eyes. "I have, Maria, and soon everyone on Earth will see them too." The Federation representatives were amazed by what they found on Earth. They visited schools where teachers helped struggling students. They met doctors who traveled to poor countries to provide free medical care. They saw ordinary people doing extraordinary acts of kindness, but they also saw cruelty and selfishness. They met leaders who cared only about themselves. They witnessed discrimination and violence. "Your species confuses us," one of the representatives told Jake. "You are capable of both great kindness and terrible cruelty." "That's what makes the choice so important," Jake replied. "Every day, every human decides whether to be kind or cruel. Every day we choose what kind of species we want to be." After 2 weeks on Earth, the Federation representatives made their decision. Humanity would be invited to join the Galactic Federation, but with conditions. They would start slowly, sharing only basic technologies at first. As humans proved they could use these gifts wisely, more advanced knowledge would follow. The announcement was made to the whole world. Jake Martinez, the former cleaner, and Keanu Reeves, the famous actor, stood together before the United Nations to introduce humanity to the galaxy. "This all started with a simple autograph request," Keanu said during his speech. "It shows that the smallest acts of kindness can change everything." Jake looked out at the audience, thinking about how far he had come from cleaning floors on the New Horizon. "We have been given an incredible gift," he said. "Now we must prove we deserve it by treating each other and all life in the universe with respect and kindness." As Jake spoke, he saw Captain Foster in the audience. She looked sad and ashamed. After his speech, she approached him. "Jake," she said quietly, "I was wrong to fire you. I was wrong about everything." Jake smiled at her. "It's okay, Captain Foster. We all make mistakes. What matters is that we learn from them." And as humanity took its first steps into the galactic community, Jake knew that his mother had been right. Being a good person was more important than being an important person. Sometimes the simplest kindness could change the universe.